Oh my gosh, what went on behind the scenes with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds is something that most people could only imagine, but now we have an insider account that truly sheds light on it. Music. Hi everyone and welcome back to USA Celeb. I'm Nova, here to give you the stories from Hollywood that go beyond the glitz and glam. The truths you won't always see in the tabloids. Today, we're diving deep into what really happened on the set of Age of Adeline, straight from photographer Rick Fedek, someone who was there, someone who saw it all firsthand. Now, before I get into the details, let me set the scene for you. Picture a bustling movie set in Vancouver. Cameras rolling, crew moving around, and in the center of it all, Blake Lively, focused and professional, yet navigating the pressures of working on a big production. But here's the twist. Ryan Reynolds, her husband, was reportedly on set almost every single day. Not for a cameo, not for a surprise visit, but constantly observing, asking questions, and wanting to see every single daily shot. Rick Fedek, who has been in the business for years, described Ryan as almost hovering around the set. He would show up, stay in the tents where the dailies were being reviewed, and in many ways micromanage. Blake would finish her scenes and leave with her security or her driver. But Ryan? He stayed, watching, interfering, and according to Rick, sometimes causing tension. Imagine trying to focus on your work while someone else is constantly looking over your shoulder. That was Blake's reality. And it wasn't just the presence of Ryan that caused friction. Blake reportedly went through 3 assistants while working on this one movie. 3. That's a lot for a single project. It wasn't because she was difficult. It was because the environment was so tense that assistants found it hard to cope. The set was filled with whispers, complaints, and an air of tension that you could feel just walking through the doors. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Rick confirmed that there were loud arguments between Blake and Ryan on set. At one point, people heard them yelling inside her trailer. Ryan apparently left furious at the end of one of these encounters, slamming the door behind him. Photos and possibly videos of these moments existed at some point, though they might have been scrubbed or quietly archived. But it's enough to paint a vivid picture of what was happening behind the camera. So why all this tension? Rick, with years of experience observing celebrities on set, pointed directly to jealousy. Pure and simple. Ryan's behavior wasn't just about being protective. It seemed driven by insecurity and jealousy over Blake's co-stars, particularly Justin Baldoni. It explains so much: the constant presence, the need to see the dailies every day, the arguments. When you think about it, if Ryan wasn't concerned or jealous, why would he insist on being involved in something he wasn't directly part of? Why all the tension over scenes and interactions that didn't include him? Rick also mentioned that Ryan had a history of becoming attached to people on set, referencing prior experiences with other co-stars. This wasn't an isolated incident, and in Blake's case, it created an incredibly stressful working environment. People talk about Hollywood being glamorous, but anyone who's ever been on set knows the reality can be very different. Long hours, high stakes, and interpersonal tensions can turn a dream project into a minefield of stress and anxiety. It's also important to note that Blake had to navigate all of this while maintaining her professionalism. She couldn't openly confront or criticize her husband without risking personal and professional fallout. She was in a difficult position, trying to deliver her best performance while managing a tense home dynamic playing out in public. For her, it wasn't just about acting, it was about survival in a highly scrutinized environment. Now, here's where the story gets even more intriguing. Blake's text to Justin Baldoni, the one that went viral and caused so much attention, suddenly makes more sense in this context. Rick's account paints a picture where Blake is caught between her professional responsibilities and personal life, trying to navigate a very complicated and emotionally charged situation. The arguments, the presence of Ryan on set, and the professional scrutiny all feed into understanding why that text was sent and why it became such a headline-making moment. And let's talk about the impact on the people around them. Crew members and assistants had to witness this drama unfold daily. Imagine being a young assistant trying to manage schedules, scenes, and logistics, all while witnessing heated arguments between a major celebrity couple. The stress, the tension, and the emotional weight of that environment would be immense. Rick even noted that photographers who were present sometimes saw or captured moments of conflict. Moments that give us insight into the realities behind Hollywood's polished exterior. This isn't just gossip, this is understanding the human side of fame. Even celebrities who seem to have it all deal with jealousy, tension, and interpersonal struggles that affect everyone around them. Rick's account gives us a rare window into that reality. It reminds us that the glamorous photos and red carpet appearances are only a small part of the story. Behind the cameras, there are real emotions, real conflicts, and very human experiences playing out. So, what can we take away from this first part of the story? Hollywood isn't always what it seems. What looks like a perfect marriage or a smooth production can hide layers of tension, jealousy, and emotional struggle. Blake Lively's experience on the set of Age of Adeline, as told by someone who was there, shows us the very human side of fame. The stress, the relationships, and the emotional toll that comes with being in the spotlight. As we continue this series over the next 2 parts, we'll explore even more details. The impact on co-stars, the professional consequences of on-set drama, and what it really means for someone like Blake to navigate both personal and professional challenges in such a high-pressure environment. You'll hear about how jealousy, career ambitions, and human emotions collide in ways most of us could never imagine. This story is not just about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It's about the reality of Hollywood itself. It's a reminder that behind every perfectly curated image, there's a story of struggle, human emotion, and complex relationships that shape the world we only see in snapshots. And that's what makes these insider accounts so fascinating. They give us perspective, empathy, and a deeper understanding of what fame really costs. So, let's pick up where we left off. Blake was trying to focus on her work, delivering her best performance, but Ryan Reynolds' presence on set added a layer of constant stress. Rick Feddick described how Ryan was not just casually visiting. He was involved in the process in a way that most spouses wouldn't be. He wanted to see every single daily shot, sometimes asking questions, sometimes hovering during takes. For someone like Blake, who is known for her professionalism and dedication, this level of interference was unusual and emotionally draining. Rick also shared that other crew members and photographers noticed the tension. Some of them had witnessed loud arguments between Blake and Ryan inside her trailer. There's even mention of a moment when Ryan left in frustration, slamming the door behind him. For anyone who has worked in a professional environment, let alone a high-pressure Hollywood set, you can imagine the ripple effect of that energy. Assistants, co-stars, and crew were all impacted. They had to navigate around these emotional storms while still keeping production on schedule. It wasn't just about being present on set. Ryan's actions suggested a deeper emotional drive. Rick emphasized that jealousy played a major role. This wasn't just speculation, it was observed behavior. Ryan seemed particularly focused on interactions Blake had with her co-stars, especially Justin Baldoni. He wanted to know every detail, see every angle, and monitor the dynamics on set. When you think about it, it's almost like he couldn't separate his personal feelings from Blake's professional life, and that blurred line created a lot of friction. And then there's the co-star perspective. Michael Huisman, Blake's co-star on Age of Adeline, became unintentionally involved in this dynamic. Ryan, known to be a huge fan of Game of Thrones, noticed connections between Huisman's previous roles and the storyline of the film. Blake mentioned in interviews that Ryan was obsessed with certain shows, and Rick's account suggests this obsession could have influenced his reactions to scenes and interactions on set. It's a mix of fandom, personal feelings, and protective instincts, but it manifested as tension, arguments, and oversight that made the set a challenging place to work. Rick also highlighted the impact on Blake herself. She had to maintain composure, deliver her scenes flawlessly, and manage her own emotional state, all while balancing the expectations of a high-profile husband and the pressures of a professional production. The reality behind the polished performances we see on screen is that actors like Blake often carry an emotional burden that the public rarely witnesses. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on the assistants who worked with Blake. According to Rick, 3 assistants didn't make it through the filming process. That's significant. It's not a commentary on Blake's leadership. It's a reflection of the emotional environment on set. When arguments are loud, when tension is palpable, and when one partner is constantly monitoring another, even highly trained assistants can struggle to cope. The daily grind becomes not just about logistics, but about navigating human emotions at their rawest. And it's not just on-set drama. The fallout from these incidents carried into headlines, viral texts, and public speculation. Blake's infamous message to Justin Baldoni, for example, was misunderstood by the public because people weren't aware of the context, the tension, the jealousy, the environment she was working in. With the pressure of fame, every private message can become public, every action analyzed, and every moment blown up in the media. For someone like Blake, that's a lot to handle emotionally. Rick also reflected on the broader Hollywood environment. He explained that what happened on Age of Adeline isn't unique. Jealousy, personal attachments, and emotional dynamics often shape the atmosphere on set. But in Blake's case, it was magnified because of the personalities involved. Ryan's focus, Blake's professionalism, and the co-star's presence created a unique storm of human emotion. Understanding this helps us see that Hollywood isn't just about glitz, glamour, and box office numbers. It's also about navigating complex interpersonal relationships under intense scrutiny. And let's not forget the human cost. For Blake, it meant managing not just her own performance, but also the emotional fallout of her husband's jealousy and the public perception of her actions. For Ryan, it was the struggle to balance personal feelings with professional boundaries. For assistants and crew, it was the challenge of maintaining focus while navigating unpredictable emotional dynamics. All of this combined made Age of Adeline a set unlike most others, a place where human emotions were just as important and just as volatile as the movie being filmed. So, what lessons can we take from this part of the story? First, even the most glamorous, high-profile sets have deep emotional layers that we rarely see. Second, jealousy, personal attachment, and human emotions can shape a production in ways that are just as impactful as technical skill or star power. And third, actors like Blake Lively are often carrying enormous emotional weight behind the scenes, managing not just their own performances, but also navigating complex interpersonal relationships that can influence every day of filming. Rick's account gives us a rare window into this world. It reminds us that while we often see actors in their public personas, smiling on red carpets, delivering performances on screen, the reality behind the scenes is rich with emotion, drama, and human complexity. This is why insider stories like Rick's are so important. They provide context, depth, and empathy for the challenges faced by those in the spotlight. Now, shifting slightly, we can't ignore the ripple effect of this tension on co-stars and the wider production. Michael Huisman, for example, reportedly felt the strain of Ryan's presence on set. Simple interactions could become complicated under the watchful eye of someone emotionally invested in every scene. Imagine trying to perform your role authentically, knowing someone with influence and authority is constantly scrutinizing your actions. It adds a layer of pressure that goes far beyond memorizing lines or hitting marks on stage. And then there's the emotional toll on Blake. She had to manage not only her scenes, but also the perception of every move she made. Any misstep could be amplified by media coverage, co-star gossip, or viral social media posts. Rick emphasized that actors in this position are walking a delicate tightrope. Perform perfectly, manage personal relationships, and maintain public favor, all while under the constant gaze of an audience that doesn't see the full picture. This brings us back to the infamous text to Justin Baldoni. What may have seemed trivial or inappropriate to the public was actually part of a much larger context, a context of jealousy, emotional stress, and navigating professional boundaries. Understanding this helps us empathize with the human experience behind the headlines. Fame isn't just about accolades or recognition. It's about surviving emotionally in environments that are often unforgiving. And the assistants, photographers, and crew members all felt the weight of this tension. Rick's insights show that when emotions run high, every interaction becomes a challenge. Maintaining professionalism is not just about following orders. It's about navigating the emotional currents that affect everyone on set. It's a reminder that human emotions, jealousy, and relationships are just as much a part of filmmaking as cameras, lighting, and scripts. Finally, this story also highlights the duality of public perception versus reality. While audiences see Blake Lively delivering flawless performances, the reality was a complex, emotionally charged environment that few outside the set could imagine. Rick's account gives us a behind-the-scenes look at how deeply human emotions influence not only personal relationships, but also professional outcomes in Hollywood. As the story continues, the effects of the tension on Age of Adeline didn't stop at the set. They carried over into the aftermath, influencing careers, public perception, and the relationships between everyone involved. Blake Lively had navigated the daily stress, the arguments, and Ryan Reynolds' constant oversight, but the emotional weight of the experience lingered. Being in the spotlight doesn't end when the cameras stop rolling. For her, it continued in headlines, viral posts, and endless speculation from fans and media alike. Rick Fedek noted that the ripple effect was palpable among the crew. Assistants and photographers who had witnessed the arguments, the tense moments in the trailer, and Ryan's hovering presence had to manage their own reactions while maintaining professionalism. The emotional strain of working under such scrutiny is often underestimated, but it shapes the very environment of a production. When someone is emotionally volatile on set, it doesn't just impact their spouse or co-star. It affects everyone in the vicinity. Blake's professional resilience is remarkable in this context. Despite the personal dynamics at play, she delivered a strong performance in Age of Adeline, balancing her craft with the emotional and relational turbulence around her. It's a testament to the dedication required of actors, who must compartmentalize personal challenges while remaining fully present for their work. Every take, every scene, and every interaction required focus and composure, even when the environment was emotionally charged. The public often doesn't see this side of Hollywood. We see the red carpets, the award shows, and the perfectly curated social media posts, but the reality behind those moments is rich with human emotion, jealousy, tension, stress, and resilience. Rick's account helps us appreciate that balance and dedication, revealing the very human side of fame. Blake had to maintain professionalism while managing emotions that could have derailed the production. It's a reminder that even the most polished performances are often the product of unseen emotional labor. And the story doesn't end there. The viral attention surrounding Blake's text to Justin Baldoni and the speculation about Ryan's jealousy continued to affect public perception. For Blake, navigating her career meant not just performing well, but also managing the narrative about her personal and professional life. The scrutiny can be relentless, especially when emotions and misunderstandings are amplified by headlines and social media. Every choice, from on-set interactions to private messages, can become part of the larger story, sometimes overshadowing the work itself. Rick also emphasized the broader lesson about relationships in high-pressure environments. On a set like Age of Adeline, emotions are intensified. Personal feelings, professional responsibilities, and public visibility intersect in ways that create complexity. Jealousy, attachment, and interpersonal dynamics are magnified when everyone is being watched and analyzed. For Blake, this meant making careful decisions about how to manage her career while protecting her personal life. It's an experience that underscores the human side of fame, something audiences rarely see but can deeply empathize with once revealed. And it wasn't just Blake's experience. Co-stars, assistants, and crew members all had to navigate this landscape. Michael Huisman, for example, had to perform his role under the subtle pressure of someone else's personal investment in the scenes. Assistants had to manage schedules, logistics, and emotions simultaneously. Photographers like Rick were witnesses to these moments, capturing glimpses of a story that went far beyond what appeared on screen. The emotional environment shaped the production as much as the script, the lighting, or the cameras. One of the most striking elements of this story is how it reveals the duality of Hollywood life: the public image versus the behind-the-scenes reality. Blake's polished performance, her media appearances, and her curated social media presence showed a picture of professionalism and composure. Behind that, however, was a world of tension, emotional navigation, and complex relationships that influenced every moment of the production. Rick's first-hand account gives depth to this reality, helping us understand the human cost of working in such a high-stakes environment. Even after filming wrapped, the emotional and professional consequences continued. Public scrutiny of Blake's relationships and career choices, fueled by viral messages and media speculation, created ongoing pressure. The stress of being analyzed at every turn can influence future decisions, from the roles she accepts to how she interacts with co-stars. For someone in her position, resilience isn't optional, it's essential. Balancing personal integrity, professional ambition, and public expectation is a continuous challenge. And this brings us to the most important takeaway. Hollywood is not just a world of glamour, it's a world of human emotion, raw and amplified. The story of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds on the set of Age of Adeline illustrates this vividly. Behind the cameras, beyond the red carpets, there are real people experiencing jealousy, tension, pressure, and resilience. Understanding this allows audiences to see beyond headlines and appreciate the human complexity behind fame. For Blake, the experience was a lesson in navigating emotional storms while maintaining her professional trajectory. For Ryan, it highlighted the influence of personal feelings on professional environments. For the crew, assistants, and co-stars, it underscored the need for emotional intelligence and adaptability in high-pressure situations. And for audiences, it's a rare glimpse into the humanity behind Hollywood glamour. A reminder that even the most polished stars face challenges, conflicts, and moments of vulnerability. As we reflect on the full story, it's clear that insider accounts like Rick Fedek's provide more than gossip. They offer perspective. They allow us to see actors as real people, navigating emotional landscapes that are intense, complicated, and often hidden from view. Blake Lively's experience on Age of Adeline is not just a story about a film set. It's a story about human resilience, the cost of fame, and the power of empathy in understanding the lives of those in the spotlight. And so, as we close this series, the message is clear. Hollywood may dazzle us with its images, but the real drama often happens behind the scenes. The emotional journeys of those involved, the struggles, the resilience, and the humanity, are what make these stories unforgettable. Blake Lively's experience, captured through the eyes of someone who witnessed it firsthand, reminds us that fame is never just about appearances. It's about navigating life, relationships, and emotions under the most public of microscopes, and doing so with grace, dedication, and courage. This concludes our three-part exploration of behind-the-scenes drama, emotional tension, and the very human experiences of fame. Thank you for joining me on USA Celeb. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the world of Hollywood has so many more stories to tell, and we're here to bring them to you with honesty, empathy, and insight.